What was it for? What was the reason for sticking it out so long because of the covenants they made to each other and to God if the covenants don't matter? That's what he said. He said, if you're not going to be happy and be able to make it work, then the covenants don't matter. And I thought of my experience growing up in the FLDS, and that was just the opposite of the way it was there. They use the same scriptures. In the religion that Cody belonged to doesn't seem like he has any part of it
Absolutely
now.
not.
But the religion that he belonged to and that taught him about the importance of polygamy and this plural marriage, and all of that was the same teachings that I was being taught in the FLDS, because they have the same scriptures and teachings and all of that from the prophets. Welcome back, everyone. My name is Sam.
And I'm Melissa.
I grew up in the FLDS community. It is a polygamous group run by Warren Jeffs, and I moved out when I was 18 years old.
I was raised LDS. Sam and I have been married for 9 years and have 2 awesome kiddos.
Yes, we do. If you're interested in just listening in today, we do have our podcast available, and please don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, if you are from a polygamous background and would like to share your story, please feel free to reach out to us at growingupinpolygamy@gmail.com.
We also currently have our holiday fundraiser going on where we are trying to adopt a room at the Short Creek Dream Center, which is previously one of Warren Jeff's old homes that has now been turned into a place of refuge for people leaving polygamous communities.
Yes. Thank you all so much for you that have donated. We actually have far surpassed our goal at this point, so we're going to be able to use this money to do a lot of good for the Dream Center there in Short Creek, and we really, really do appreciate it.
Yes, and if you feel so inclined to continue to donate, for those of you who haven't had a chance yet, the more donations we get, the bigger room, the more we can do for the Short Creek Dream Center. So we're excited to show you what we're able to do there.
Yes, we're excited for all of that and look forward to filming it if possible,
Yes,
and
absolutely.
sharing with you kind of what we're able to do and how that turns out. So today's video, we're back into the hot mess of the Brown family.
Whoo! It is finally closed up, this chapter, season 18, the Hot Mess Express, or what did I keep calling it? Every single episode I was like, this is another dumpster fire. The dumpster fire of season 18 is now concluded with Cody Brown being so egotistical that it blows my mind. Sometimes I wonder, like, does he look back on these and he goes, wow, that sounded really bad. I shouldn't have said it like that? Or do you think he, like, doesn't realize the words that are coming out of his mouth?
He probably looks back and thinks, wow, I handled that perfectly. Amazing. Go me. I don't know how.
That sounds like a Cody Brown answer right there.
Yeah. I don't know how he could look back and not be embarrassed to some extent, especially when you listen to it in one setting and you realize that he is saying certain things, and then within a couple minute time span, something else completely the opposite, it seems like, is being said.
If I have to hear,
it's hard.
If I have to hear, I need the break. I need a break from season 18. I need this holiday break. I need to not have to hear Cody one more time say that he never loved someone and then say that he did something because he loved them. I never loved them, but I did that because I love them. And I love them, so I want them to do well. And I care about them. And I have all these but I never loved them. I'm so over his, like, whatever he has in his head going on of, like, what love is and whether he loved people or not or didn't love them, or it's all a mess.
You know, even with Christine, that for some reason seemed to blow up his world when she left him, and my opinion behind it all is the fact that he wants to be the one to make the decision to leave if he wants to leave, but the fact that she made the decision that no, I'm out of here, that blew up his world. Oh, how dare someone choose to leave me? It seems to be the mindset behind that. Because
it messes with his ego. Now, we haven't seen season 17. We have been doing Fresh Eyes on Sister Wives. We are now going to be doing season 6 next week. So we're starting at the beginning, and then we've been doing this season. So if anyone wants to watch those, you can go see our Fresh Eyes on Sister Wives. So we didn't see season 17. But I do have to say, watching Cody talk about how he never loved Christine, he never picked her, he was never in love with her, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, then why is it like crashing your entire world down in the way that he's acting? Like, so tore up about it to where he's an angry, different person and he doesn't want people to see him like this and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But I don't give a crap about Christine. I never have, and I never loved her. Okay.
And then 2 minutes later, I love Christine, so I hope she finds a good person and has a happy marriage because I love her.
Okay.
Anyway, I know that you can look at that and say, well, you can love somebody but not be in love with someone. There is the differences there, and maybe that's what he meant to say, is that I hope the best for her kind of love, not that I am in love with her. But anyway, either way, there's a lot of I don't love, never did love, I do love, and back and forth, not only with Christine, but with the other wives, it seems like, especially Mary.
Yes, as you say. So now that our quick rant on Cody Brown is over, a couple of the main points that they brought up in these, we did part 3 and part 4 together. So at the end, it's still talking about Mary's marriage, and Cody even says, like, Robin and I were giving Mary different messages. So as much as it felt like Cody was stringing her along, which he obviously was, like, even I think this was the first time that the person who was interviewing was like, you know, because Mary's like, yeah, well, he should have just told me, like, it would have been nicer of him. The way he did it was mean, this and that. And she's like, but, like, you saw it, though, right? Like, but you saw it coming. Like, you had to have seen some of it. Like, we know that we're getting bits and pieces, but the way he treated you should have been some kind of sign.
She had to ask that a couple times.
Yeah.
To kind of get her point across.
But, like, you did know, right?
Right. And I think that, and even then, Mary didn't really admit fully that she knew, which is so interesting to me. It makes me wonder, either she was completely oblivious to his actions, which it doesn't seem like she was, because she points them out, or I mean, what she ultimately ended up saying was, it was my covenant with him and God that I held dear, so religiously speaking, I felt that I had to endure. And that is so sad that that's what it came down to, because I mean, we're talking over almost a decade that, you know, and we recently found out in the last one-on-one as well, that the ring melting down from the way back in the beginning of all of this, that Cody melted her ring down that was symbolic to their marriage and their love. I mean, how could that not be
First red flag? We need the TikTok red flag guy.
Yes.
With the Brown family.
Yes. So anyway, it's interesting, but I think she did see it coming. I think there's no way that Mary couldn't have seen it coming. And regardless of all of her reasons behind it, I know the show doesn't share everything with us, and that's very obvious. But I think that there's more to the story than is being led on. There has to be for her to hang on that long.
Well, and then, like, Christine watching back when Robin was there, like, watching Christine and Janelle's reactions to Robin being there at, like, the final talk between them all, and they're like, what is Robin even doing there in that situation? By the way, I apologize. I feel like my voice sounds so funny. We've been sick the last few days.
It's been a rough one, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so she's like, what is she even doing there? And then Christine, like, because they're showing the clip where Cody's saying to Robin, like, I covenanted with you that I would always tell you if I was not in love with you, and blah, blah, blah. And this is the agreement that I made with you, Robin, that I would tell you and I wouldn't string you along. And then they, like, flash the camera to Mary. And we're like, okay, so you didn't make that promise with Mary, but you had a good point.
Yes.
What did you say?
I think that possibly the reason that Cody made that promise to Robin, that he wouldn't drag her along if there wasn't that spark and love, is possibly because Robin forced him to make that promise and commitment to her, because she was seeing what was going on with Mary. And she could clearly see that Cody was dragging her along, and there wasn't really any kind of bond going on there, because Cody was always at Robin's house. So Robin obviously knew what was going on there. And so I imagine that Robin said, hey, you got to promise me right now, you're never going to do to me what you're doing to them.
Yeah. Which is, we're like, oh, maybe Mary's the reason why Robin got that caveat.
Right.
And then when Mary's talking about her covenant and how important it was to her and that's what she was holding on to, and then they ask Cody, like, so what about the covenant though? And he's like, I don't care about the covenant if you're not going to be happy. Basically, like, that was his answer. Like, oh, I don't care about the covenant. People stay in covenants too long out of, you know, when they're unhappy, they stay in it just because of religious reasons, blah, blah, blah. And we're like, wow. Because again, no matter what Cody tries to say, we are the fresh eyes. We just barely watched season 1, and it was very religious reasons. It was very much...
Or at least so he claimed.
Or so he claimed.
Yeah.
So either he's been a liar from the beginning, or he's forgetting the past and is a liar now about it. But it seemed very clear that it was religious reasons why he was covenanting to enter plural marriage to begin with from the very beginning. And it was all religious reasons why they tried to stay together and work through all of their problems, because they all had problems from the very beginning. So to now be like, well, the covenant doesn't even matter. It's like, well, then what was all this for, right?
And you have to wonder as well, just what was it for? What was the reason for sticking it out so long because of the covenants they made to each other and to God if the covenants don't matter? Because that's what he said. He said, if you're not going to be happy and be able to make it work, then the covenants don't matter. And I thought of my experience growing up in the FLDS, and that was just the opposite of the way it was there. And, they use the same scriptures. In the religion that Cody belonged to doesn't seem like he has any part of it
Absolutely
now.
Not.
But the religion that he belonged to and that taught him about the importance of polygamy and this plural marriage, and all of that was the same teachings that I was being taught in the FLDS, because they have the same scriptures and teachings and all of that from the prophets that they have. And so in the FLDS, it was very much, no, even if there is this problem within the marriage, you need to make it work because God ordained that marriage. It was his doing to bring you together. So therefore, you need to make it work. And then to hear him say the opposite of that now was very intriguing to me.
Yeah, and obviously it was a religious reason. Like, he kind of was scoffing at the idea of people staying for their covenants if they're unhappy, and religious people just stay together even if they're absolutely miserable, and I don't want that, da-da-da. Okay, but his whole reason for entering plural marriage to begin with was 100% religious-based. So, again... So he claims, right? Anyway, and that's the claim that he said to the other women when they got married. They weren't entering plural marriage because Cody is an animalistic male who can't control his urges. Or what did he try to say in one episode? Anyway.
It was pretty early on when him and Robin went to San Diego on their very short honeymoon. And they were at the zoo and they were seeing the animals there, and they were talking about how, it's just natural, it's just nature. So the fact that he was saying those kinds of things from almost the beginning of the show makes me wonder, was it actually religious reasons that he entered into polygamy to begin with? Or was that his excuse?
Yeah. And if it wasn't, then he was not being genuine with the other women, because the other women, it was very much religious reason for them to enter in. So either way, yikes. Yeah. They talked about Cody being in a dark place and about how he had changed and he was so different, and all the wives were like, yeah, he's changed. Even Robin was like, yeah, he's changed. And then Cody was like, well, when you disappoint even God, then you have these dark thoughts and these dark places and temptations, and it was so bad. I didn't want Robin to see me like this, and I hate my life right now, and I want to just change my name and run away. So he's talking about how dark he is, but then later he tries to talk about the fact, what was the quote? There's some things in a man's mind that shouldn't be exposed because I was too honest with Robin, and it was really hurtful to her.
Yeah, back to the first one before about this disappointing God.
Yeah.
Do you think that possibly he's using that as an excuse again?
Well, it's weird if he says that, like, it's not religious. He doesn't have the religion anymore.
He doesn't seem to really care what God thinks of him.
Yeah.
Right? At this point. And so, based on the other comments he said, once again, going back and forth, he says one thing and then a completely different thing a few minutes later. But it doesn't seem like he really cares what God thinks of him at this point. So, it almost seems like an excuse that he would try to say, I disappointed God, therefore I'm in this dark place.
Or maybe he says now that he doesn't care what God thinks, or that he's not religious, as a coping mechanism, because he does feel like he's a disappointment to God, and he can't get over his internal feelings about it. Yeah. And he's trying to run from it. So instead he's just like, it doesn't matter. But maybe it's because he feels like an absolute disappointment. That's
a good point. I guess there's two ways it could go there, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, he's talking about like wanting to punish himself, and just the fact that he was even, Robin's like, yeah, he's even sabotaging our marriage because he's suspicious of all women, which, oh my gosh, this idea, he's suspicious after Christine left. He's been suspicious of all women and their loyalty and their this and that. And I have to remind him that it's not all women. Okay, back it up for a second. How on earth, because one woman doesn't want to be with you, are you suspicious of your other 3 wives? Because Robin was trying to say, she's like, well, when a woman gets divorced and she's really suspicious of men for a while, then it's harder to get into the next relationship after divorce because it can be really hard. I'm like, that woman doesn't have 3 other men on the side. Like, how are you suspicious of women if one woman leaves, but you have 3 other wives, and now all of a sudden you're going to, like, take it out on them or be suspicious of them because one of them hurt you?
Yeah, that is such a smack in the face to the other wives, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because if one wife leaves you, and therefore now you're suspicious of your other wives, how insecure are you with your relationship with the other wives? It seems like he has no security in his marriages at all if he's suspicious of the other wives only because one of them leaves, right? Am I understanding that?
No, it sounds exactly right. And that's why he always claimed like the other wives were all, not good sister wives, they were crap sister wives because they were jealous and they were suspicious and they weren't this and that. And then like he's doing it to all of them simultaneously because Christine leaves. Right. Which again, okay, so he wasn't in love with her, he wasn't this, he wasn't that, all this bad stuff about her, but it blew up his world, right?
So interesting.
Okay, next that we have to talk about is Christine and the personality test about Robin.
Oh boy.
This was another one where I'm like, can someone roll the footage? We know that you guys have footage of the last 10 years, so please, someone roll the footage and tell us the truth. Because Christine's talking about the fact that her and Robin's rift came from this personality test that Robin didn't appreciate what she was known for, right?
We don't even know if this personality test was in one of the episodes or seasons. We haven't seen it yet at all. So if it is there, comment below about what actually happened, because at this point we're speculating based on what was said in this one-on-one interview, which is so conflicting.
And all the other wives, so Janelle and Mary both were like, oh yeah, I remember taking that. I don't remember what I was. I don't remember anything else about it. No big deal. In Christine's mind, this is the breaking point for her and Robin. An example of something that she thought they had moved past, and then it kept getting brought up. Mm-hmm. Now Christine said it kept getting brought up. The 2 other, Janelle and Mary, couldn't even barely remember anything about it. Then they asked Robin about it, and Robin's like, I don't even remember that ever happening.
She straight up says, oh no, I don't think that ever happened.
But...
and then, yep.
She's been hanging out with Cody too much.
Yep, exactly. And then the interviewer says, oh, but Christine said this. And immediately everything changed, and Robin started thinking, and she was like, oh, it seemed like she was caught in the act. She didn't want...
she remembered, but she didn't want to admit
She didn't want to admit it, but then once it was brought up that someone else is remembering and talking about it, suddenly she had a different idea and tried to claim that someone else must have taken it for her, because I think she remembers what the results were on that personality test. And either Christine is lying or Robin is lying, because that is completely different answers to what actually happened.
But Christine had no reason to lie either. She was just bringing up an example.
Exactly.
And Robin was the one who was like, I don't remember anything about personality tests. Oh, well, if there had been a personality test, someone must have taken it for me that didn't even know me, that made it so that it was whatever they wanted. So it was really weird.
And it seemed like she was blaming Christine for almost taking it for her, is the kind of the vibe that she was giving, that, oh, I didn't take it, Christine took it and answered the questions for me based on what she thought that the kind of person that I am. Even though
at the beginning she said she didn't remember anything about the test at all.
Right. And then all of a sudden she knew a lot of information about it. But anyway, that was very conflicting, and I'm sure some of you guys know a lot more details about that.
If you do, leave it in the comments.
But yes, let's try to straighten this up for us, because that was very confusing.
Yeah. Robin crying about they're all still my sister wives. Everybody else, I guess Janelle and Christine say that they still consider themselves sister wives, those 2. Mary was like, I don't call them my sister wives. They're not my sister wives because I'm not married to the same husband. So why would that apply? She just seemed kind of confused. And Robin literally stopped the interviewer and was like, you said my ex-sister wives.
They're all. Even
Christine is my sister wife. And but this brought in an interesting thought that I had never thought about, because on the same note of them all being sister wives, she was asked, do you think that you can live monogamy with Cody? Mm-hmm. And when Robin said, I would feel guilty and I feel like a horrible person for being monogamous with Cody, it feels disrespectful to be happy with Cody. And
right.
Go ahead.
No, just
you had a thought.
No, well, it was very interesting and kind of honestly, I don't know that I fully feel for Robin here in this moment, but it is something that I can kind of understand, or at least I try to understand. If I put myself in her shoes, and she actually did join the family for this lifestyle, I'm saying if, then I can understand that point. That, you know what, I feel guilty living in this monogamous marriage because the other wives are also a part of this family. But anyway, Robin tried to say that she needed to hear it from them, that no, it's okay, you can move on, and that we're no longer married, we're no longer with Cody, so you can move on at this point. She needed to hear that from them, is what she was saying.
Yeah, which I found a little odd. When somebody's divorcing, I guess in her mind, it's just like a lot closer tie between the women than the man. So in Christine's eyes, which even season 5 and season 6 in Vegas, they seem very separate. Like it's plural monogamy, right? Like they're different houses. He keeps talking about their separate relationships with each wife. Mm-hmm. It's very separate, except for when they gather for group family gatherings. But so in Christine's mind, like she's divorcing Cody. She's not divorcing the other wives. She's still hanging out with Janelle. She's choosing not to be around Mary. She's choosing not to be around, like, it was already so separate. The idea that she needed to go to like the other wives and say, you can be with Cody and be happy because I'm moving on. I don't feel like that's realistic. She's going to leave the husband and she's going to be done and talk to who she wants to. And by her leaving, I feel like is automatic like permission of, y'all have fun with Cody. I'm going off and doing my own thing. So the idea of like her needing to go to Robin, can you imagine that conversation? Christine, we're here for it. Christine, can you go to Robin and set her down and be like, I just want you to know, I'm fine that you continue to have this monogamous relationship with my ex-husband that you've pretty much had for 10 years anyway. You continue to do that and I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Like, what does she think that would look like?
There's no way Christine's going to do that because I imagine that Christine feels that Robin
has had a monogamous relationship the whole time anyway.
Has been doing this all along without their permission. So now why all of a sudden do you need our permission is what I imagine they would feel.
Oh, for sure. But like, is that what Robin's expecting? Is that what Robin would actually want, is to be sat down and told that?
Maybe she wants to feel justified for coming in and stealing their husband. And if they told her it's okay, then maybe she would feel like she didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Cody is much different. He's like, no, I'm not interested in polygamy. He goes, because I couldn't have another wife because I'd never loved them like Robin. Until the show was 10 years past, and then you would look back and say, I never loved Robin. I'm pretty sure that's how that would go. Just saying.
Can you imagine if down the road he says
married,
the same thing about Robin?
Married as in marry the person? Like, if Robin got treated like Mary?
Yeah, oh my goodness. But the fact that, I mean, when just kind of backing up a little bit here, when Cody was talking about being in this dark place, he said, I imagine going and being with another lover and then telling this lover, I don't love you. I left a person that I love because I just wasn't strong enough to make the relationship work. So, like, the fact that that's his thought process, I imagine myself with another lover and saying I don't love you, and I'm just like,
just stop. He just needs to stop.
What is this place you are in right now? I feel slightly bad for Robin in that case, that he is having those kind of thoughts. I mean, it's nice that, ultimately she's the one he loves, I guess, but man, he's just going about it in such an interesting and odd way that I can't imagine Robin feels good about it either.
No. And Cody at one point, was asked, like, do you blame Christine for blowing up, like, your big picture? And he said, no, it's my fault for marrying someone I didn't love. But again, it's like, okay, well, if it's your fault, then why can't you move forward with the wife that you do love? Why are you trying to sabotage that?
If you married someone you didn't love for the religion, then why do your covenants no longer matter if you're not in love? How does that make sense?
It doesn't.
You married someone you didn't love for the covenant, the religious aspect, and now he's saying that you cannot marry someone you don't love just for the covenant and religious aspect.
Yeah, that's because he's lost his religion.
I know, but it's just so hard to wrap my head around. And why are you having so many children with this person that you don't love? Right? Yeah. I mean, it just boggles my mind.
Yes. The last part of part 4 was David coming out and Christine and David talking about their relationship, how happy they are, their wedding, all that good stuff, which was so cute to see Christine so happy. She talked about the fact that she never felt love like this. And I thought it was sad, and it was like sweet and sour when she said that her and David were in the kitchen one night and she just realized, she's like, oh, this is what Cody felt like when he was with Robin. And I can understand now that if this is how he felt with her, why would he want to leave her house?
Why would he want to leave?
Why would he want to leave? And I think that's like a bittersweet, realizing that, and at the same time grateful that she now has that and can feel what that's like, right? To be in love and want to be with that person all the time.
It is sad everyone should have their religious choice. I agree with that 100%. It's not me or anyone else's right to say, oh, you can't believe this or you can't believe that. Religious freedom, I think, is important for people to find out for themselves what they believe and follow what they want to follow, as long as it's not hurting other people along the way, of course. But it's very sad that because of the religion aspect of it, Christine never felt love until now. That is very sad to me.
Yeah, that is super sad.
That is very sad. And so that's just one of those things where you have to also realize that in some cases, certain beliefs can be harmful.
Yeah. And all those years that Christine was in that belief, she didn't realize she was being harmed. And that's where sometimes it gets tricky with certain religious groups, right? Even within the FLDS. We can look and see there's some harm that's being done by that belief. While we still respect their choice to be in it, it's hard when you can see the harm, but the people who are in it don't see the harm. And so it's just a tough line. And like you said, it's nobody's right to say, you're being harmed, you need to get out of it. But later in hindsight's 2020, right? Like Christine can look back and see the harm, and people who leave certain high demand religions can look back and see the harm that was done, even though they didn't feel it in the moment.
Yeah, when you're raised in a certain way, I mean, you can look at some places throughout the world as well that maybe they don't have clean drinking water, or maybe they don't have good nourishing food. But when you're raised in a certain way and that's all you know, they're not going to try to run away and jump on the nearest airplane to go get out of the situation they're in. That's their life. That's what they know. And so you have to be cautious and respectful for their belief as well. But it is nice to see now, all that in the past, it's nice to see now that Christine is finding that love. She seems to be very happy with David. David Woolley, by the way, which I do imagine that he is closely related to John and Lauren Woolley, which were some of the founding FLDS prophets. So just an interesting point there. It does seem like he is, I don't know the exact connection, but he was raised or lived in St. George, Utah, I believe, for a long time.
He looked so familiar, and I cannot figure out how or why, but I was raised in St. George, and I'm like, he looks so familiar. Every time his face pops up, I'm like, I know that dude from somewhere. Yeah. Maybe just from seeing him at the grocery store or something.
We'll have to do some digging and see if we can find out exactly how he might be related to the Woolies of the FLDS, because it doesn't seem like he was ever a part of the FLDS in any way, but there's a lot of connections with different people in Utah coming from different religions and that. So anyway, it's nice to see that they're very happy.
Yep. Last crazy note of Cody Brown is...
Oh no, more.
He was saying Christine had to destroy my character so that David knew that, or so that David doesn't think that she left a good man. Now, this is hilarious on a couple accounts, because I don't think there's any person who's ever watched Sister Wives or had any encounters with Sister Wives that's been like, Cody Brown is just such a good man. I don't know why any of them are leaving. So if you're one of those people, please comment, because I want to know, like, there's got to be at least somebody who
not you, Cody Brown. You can't comment. Anyone else?
Anyone else that wants to comment and say, oh, Christine left a really good man, and anyway, so that was hilarious. But we got insight into why he keeps saying that, because he said that he vetted Robin to make sure she didn't leave a good man.
Because he wouldn't have been able to marry her.
He wouldn't have been able to marry her if she had left a good man.
Yeah.
So he vetted her and asked tons of questions to make sure that she didn't leave a good man. And I'm like, okay, so Cody's totally projecting the type of man he is of, I need to vet this woman and make sure that she didn't leave a good man and make sure that it's not her fault. And it seems very like blaming and accusatory to say, okay, you couldn't have left it. Oh, was it a good man? They have to be a bad man.
Right.
In order for you to leave, rather than like, what if they had had like a amiable divorce?
Right.
What if it hadn't been anything horrible? It was just they didn't get along or they didn't feel like it was right.
Yeah, exactly. No. It's not about whether or not this is a good or bad person. It's about the fact that those two people didn't work together.
Yeah.
Therefore they got divorced. But, if David does want to vet Cody, all he has to do is watch Sister Wives, and it makes it pretty easy. Makes it pretty easy to know that.
Yeah, I think you could see a lot.
He's not the greatest husband.
I think you could see a lot in David's character, in the fact that when they asked about Cody, he was like, there's things I wouldn't have handled it that way, but I can't speak for him, basically, and just kind of left it. I felt like he was very respectful. Yeah. He wasn't coming out bashing Cody, and I think Cody was like waiting for that because he feels like Christine has bashed him. Oh, bash this, bash that. Made my kids, they show the scene where the kids are like, oh yeah, we knew that Dad didn't love you or this or that. Oh, see, she's turning my kids against me. And I'm like, there's a difference between saying the truth and sharing your feelings of why something happened and purposefully going out and trying to bash on him.
Right. The fact that he saw that scene that we all saw and said, see, Christine, turning my kids against me.
It's not what it was about, Cody. It wasn't about you, really.
You don't even have to. The children wouldn't have had to heard anything or hear anything from Christine, their mom, at all, to know my dad is not with her and in love with her. By just the actions going on there. They wouldn't have to know or hear anything from anyone. They could just see what was going on in the family and know, well, clearly he's more in love with this different wife. He doesn't love my mother or my mom like he loves the other wife. Therefore, of course you're not in a great situation here, Mom.
Yeah, exactly. And even at one point in the interviews, because they're going from like asking someone questions and then saying, so-and-so responded like this. What do you think of that? And Christine was asked, what question was it? She was asked a very specific question about something with Cody. And then when they told Cody what she said, he's like, well, if she was really in love with David, she would be over bashing me. And I was like, she wasn't even bashing Cody. She was asked a question. She answered the question honestly and truthfully about how she felt. And then Cody's like, oh, she's bashing on me. And if she was in love, that wouldn't have happened. And I'm like, right. No, you can be in love with someone and still recognize that this person was awful to you. Still recognize whatever's going on and answer questions honestly about it.
Not to mention, like you kind of hinted at here, Christine maybe would have never said anything about Cody. At this point, she seems to be so beyond Cody.
It.
But someone asked her the question, and it seemed like she was hesitant to even answer. But then she said, well, you're asking the question, so I'll be honest and tell you what I think. But in the big scheme of things, that when she's not being interviewed about Cody and she's just over here with David, how often do you think they talk about Cody?
Never, but Cody acts like he thinks it's happening all the time.
Right.
The interviewer said that at one point. She was like, I don't think David cares about like what you have going on or whatever's going on with you. And of course, oh, good. I hope that's how it is. And I'm like, I don't know. I think Cody kind of wants to be the center of attention still.
Yeah, exactly. He wants everyone talking about him, no matter what it's about. He wants that publicity, it seems like, which is just so sad. But once again, no one's surprised.
Well, that is the end of the dumpster fire of season 18. I'm very curious. I haven't heard. Have you heard whether or not there's going to be season 19?
There's been rumors about it.
I think we saw in the Cody interview with Radio Free Mormon.
Yes, he hinted at the fact that there was more coming. So it seems like there will be more coming. I don't know why.
Why?
Or what is possibly going to be interesting enough to keep people watching.
I don't think we need any more of this
I don't know for sure. We do know that a special couple episodes coming up with Christine's wedding and all of that.
Yeah.
I don't know for sure if that's something we will comment on or not. I think it's just kind of a bonus track that people can go watch and see the wedding happen. But
we'll see. If there's any good like religious side about it, then we probably will cover it. And if there isn't, maybe we'll just tune in and enjoy ourselves without a notebook. We'll see.
That'd be something. Just sit and watch something.
Yeah. But if anyone wants to hear more of what it was like for Sam to grow up in polygamy, please like and subscribe. And if you want to continue on our journey every single week, we're going to continue to come out with a new reaction to seasons of Sister Wives, our fresh eyes on Sister Wives, and hopefully get some backstory as to how we ended up in this dumpster fire that is season 18.
I know that we will learn a lot in season 16 and 17. We've heard from a lot of you, so thank you for your comments and everything that you have kind of helped us along the way in learning and understanding more about the Brown family. Thank you all so much for being with us here again today, and we look forward to talking with you soon.
Talk to y'all soon.